Welcome to an example in which we're simplifying and writing as a single trig function this expression. So how should we take this expression with the two parentheses and everything and make it a single trig function? Well, I think the best way is to start by distributing, right? You know, the 1 will go to both. The 1 multiplies the cosecant of x, and that's just cosecant of x, minus, and the 1 multiplies the cotangent of x. That's just cotangent of x. He's done. And now the cosine is going to go to both of these. So this will be plus the cosine of x times the cosecant of x minus, because it's positive times negative now, cosine of x times the cotangent of x. Okay, let's see if we can simplify this. So this is cosecant of x minus cotangent of x. Now, what are we going to do with cosine times cosecant? I don't know. I think we should probably write cosecant as what it is in terms of the identities. Do you remember what that thing is in terms of the identities? Let me see if I can go grab the identities sheet. It's probably here. If I add a sheet here, and it's probably right down here. If I grab it, the identities. Yeah, there it is. All right. So there it is. There's the trig identities. And see right here we have cosecant is 1 over sine. So there's your formula sheet. Cosecant is 1 over sine. So we go back up here and we say, okay, cosecant is 1 over sine of x. Right? And then cotangent, if you look down here for cotan, you'll see cotan is cosine over sine. So cosine over sine. Okay. So now, what are we gonna do from here? Well, let's see. This is a little tricky, isn't it? So this is, I'll bring this down. In fact, we could actually rewrite these ones also. Cosecant, as we just said, is 1 over sine x, and cotangent is cosine x, over sine x. Plus, okay, now, what happens right here with this cosine, I forgot the x there, huh? Cosine of x times the sine of x. What's going to happen? Remember, when a whole number or a whole term interacts with a fraction, you put it over 1, so it looks like a fraction. So then you go straight across the top, straight across the bottom. When you multiply, 1 times cosine of x is cosine of x, 1 times sine x is sine x, minus, same thing here, this is over 1, cosine times cosine on the top, that's cosine squared of x over, and then 1 times sine x is just sine x. Now notice that these will cancel out, right? Minus and plus, the same thing. They're opposites, they're gone. Okay, so where does that leave me? That brings down here 1 over sine x minus, and then bring this over here. Cosine squared of x over sine x, right? And they already have a common denominator, don't they? So I can combine them into one big fraction, right? Because they both have sine x common denominator already. All right, so what does that mean I can do now? So now, taking this from here, what is 1 minus cosine squared? That's what kind of needs to jump off the page for you, or the screen. Do you know what 1 minus cosine squared of x is? Let's go look at our formula sheet. 1 minus cosine squared is sine squared, and 1 minus sine squared is cosine squared. So it's good to know those, to watch for those. They come up a lot. 1 minus cosine squared is sine squared. So going back to it, this is 1 minus cosine squared right here is sine squared over, and then the bottom is still sine of x. That hasn't changed. And now, what does that equal? that's just sine of x, right? Because this cancels that, and so it's just sine of x. And that's the answer to the question. So this all simplified down to become sine of x.